Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and we have to be extremely careful because we don't want to cyberbully anybody via this live stream. And we've gotten in quite a bit of trouble for covering the Epstein case. For those that do not know, YouTube has now openly admitted that my last video that was censored was done so because upon review, the video will stay removed per our harassment policies content that targets an identifiable individual as part of a harmful conspiracy theory. Hope you understand. It's ridiculous, and they delete the conversation. You can go back to some of my older videos, and that way you can really see the full context of this. Now, all of the Epstein stories we're about to cover are extremely well written and well sourced and deal with things such as the suit against Leon Black. They deal with things regarding Epstein's visits to the White House in 93 and 94 via Bill Clinton. They deal with things like the Clinton initiative to subvert and really contain the information. Try to distract away from how close Epstein and Clinton really were. We're also going to talk about the Council on Foreign Relations, Epstein, and Clinton's presidency, because so much of this intertwines. And I got to give props to the Daily Mail here. They're not perfect by any means. I know everybody, Daily Mail, tabloid. Look, bottom line is the majority of the coverage here is coming out of the Daily Mail. The first piece is out of the Daily Beast, and it's also extremely well done. And I give props to Kate Burkett because she's doing great work on the Epstein case over there. We're going to talk about Sarah Kellen and whether or not she will ever be brought up on charges, what are the possibilities there, and much, much more. So here's the deal, guys. Thumbs it up, subscribe, share. If you're new to the Burmis Brigade and you haven't checked out The Truth, all the documentary films, they're here right now. Fabled Enemies, Loose Change, Final Cut, Invisible Empire, A New World Order, Define and Shade the Motion Picture. They're all free of charge. We got a lot of uncensored material that you have not seen. I was suspended for 2 weeks, but on top of that, if you saw just a piece of the Greater Reset video, you can see the whole video with Derek Bros and much, much more really important stuff over at Rockfin. At least make the free account if you want to support me. It's $9.99 a month or $99.99 a year, and you get everybody's premium content. The entire shebango. It's a great deal. It's not just me. It's others. And I'll actually be on an exclusive Rockfin stream panel at the top of the next hour. So really great stuff. Check it out. Check it out over there. I'm on Getter. I'm on Twitter. And the pinned posts are going to allow you to make a video upload of yourself asking questions and then coming on the show. So follow the rules, and we'll get to that as well at the end of the broadcast. Okay, so next target for Epstein prosecutors could be his assistant, Sarah Kellen. Now, this thing is so well done, and they bring up the fact that Sarah Kellen has basically been named many, many, many times over during the trial. They even talk about, at one point, Ghislaine Maxwell tries to shift, or her attorneys rather, try to shift the narrative in favor that it was Kellen who was really responsible for a lot of these things. And Bradley Edwards, one of the attorneys, one of the better attorneys out there, one of the more outspoken attorneys via this whole Epstein saga, discusses how, she wasn't given immunity. She was not asked to testify by the prosecution. So, the idea on whether or not she actually, worked with the prosecution is kind of unknown. And we'll get to that in a minute, because we do know that she filed for the Epstein Victims Compensation Fund but got no money, and she did so under Jane Doe. And that's gone over extensively at the end of this article, which I think is very, very good. Okay? And other victims, such as Carolyn, filed lawsuits against Epstein as well as Kellen, with one complaint describing Kellen as his lieutenant who served as both his scheduler and a recruiter, a procurer of you know what. We're going to have to be, again, very, very careful. So people are asking after the guilty verdict, which actually may end up in a mistrial altogether, and we'll get to why that's a very real possibility and a scary one in the next article. But you can see this. The way I see it, Sarah has been given dozens, if not hundreds of chances to potentially reposition herself in this narrative. That's Edwards, the lawyer. You're either on the side of the victims or the other side, which is the side of the bad guys, and they are extremely bad, I assure you, okay? And, of course, Kellen and her representatives declined to comment for this. She actually, married a successful NASCAR driver some years back. All these people seem to be oh so well connected even after the fact when they're in the network. They're not just being used and exploited, but partaking in the network. Okay? So you can see here, there she is with Epstein. That was actually evidence that was put into the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. Remember, we saw almost none of the images, and we saw images of evidence such as hard drives, CDs, and binders, the contents of which were not brought into trial. All right? So this is what I was talking about. It says here, in closing arguments, the defense tried to shift blame to Kellen when it came to Carolyn's accusations of the abuse. Now, the government wants you to believe that because Ghislaine Maxwell traveled to Palm Beach and helped to manage Epstein's properties, she was the one orchestrating massages, despite the fact that you've seen no proof of that, no message pads, no phone records, nothing. Lawyer Menninger told juries, you've seen Sarah Kellen was there. So, again, trying to blame shift to Kellen was one of the defense strategies. By the way, only 50 likes. Can we get 100 thumbs up? I think that this one's going to be a good one, guys. We got a lot of other stories. First of all, we're not even all the way down the line here, okay? So the defense didn't call her because they felt she would just declare her Fifth Amendment rights, okay? And they're saying the Manhattan U.S. Attorney's Office has no comment as to whether Kellen, 42, was granted immunity. So maybe in this case, but there's no comment. And it's hard to figure out because in the Palm Beach case, it was 4 co-conspirators. So obviously it couldn't have just been Ghislaine Maxwell. They actually also discuss Leslie Groff in this very well-written Beast article. Okay? And you see this right here. She may be given another chance if Maxwell is granted a retrial. We're going to get into that in a moment. That's a real possibility, which is scary. Okay? Let's see. Basically, there are those that, believe that she is a victim in this, because she was cast out of the Jehovah's Witness community in which she had been born and raised. Certainly, because she married a man at age 17, certainly vulnerable. And these were young. And again, when she brings herself in as Jane Doe, that's some of the things that she discusses. She says she was abused too. Let's see. Sarah was targeted by Epstein and Maxwell when she, like many of their victims, was extremely vulnerable, struggling financially and emotionally. He's not wrong. That's an easy get. But at some time, you have to decide whether you're on the side of right or wrong. If you're going to partake in evil and get yourself out and suffer the consequences for what you've done, or you're just going to go for it. Let's see. Again, this is where it gets, crazy. She was one of dozens of assistants who worked for Epstein and Maxwell over the years. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why this network needs to come down. All of them need to be tried. One of her many duties included scheduling various appointments for them, including massages. At no time did Sarah recruit young girls for Epstein or Maxwell. Now, again, they actually bring up the point that there are just so many of these people, they should all stand trial so we can sift through what really happened. And I don't know if they all stand trial, but certainly have a real investigation to all of them and get into the network. Remember, Epstein talked about how he invests in people. That was his business. Okay? And they talk about her being a naive 22-year-old. All right? And this is the Jane Doe complaint. Over the course of many years, and that he knew she was an extremely emotionally vulnerable young woman who, at the time she met, had been entirely abandoned by her community, friends, and family, which enabled him to seduce her into the world of horrific abuse. It says that every aspect of her life was controlled by Epstein. He dominated her psychologically. Jane Doe was constantly emotionally bullied and coerced by Epstein, including being required to submit to his constant sexual abuse. So that's what Sarah Kellen herself put into the Epstein compensation fund, but she didn't get anything. Okay? The complaint added that Doe's name and reputation had been ruined, and she is virtually bankrupt, having been forced to spend most of her resources defending herself against false accusations, all of which stem from Epstein's crimes. Right? So, once again, you see it there. Didn't get anything. Didn't receive a settlement offer or otherwise accept one. Right? So that's important. So let's keep going on down, and this is when we can start to talk about, and there she is, smiling with Ghislaine Maxwell, of course. Basically Edwards breaks down, there came a point in time when Ghislaine got smarter and started putting buffers up, and one of the buffers she put up in place was Sarah. So basically she knew that all this was getting out of control. She needed plausible deniability, and that also shows you that Kellen was just one of these people, right? Talks about her relationship with Brian Vickers here and how they're traveling the world. So I don't know much about NASCAR. I don't know what kind of money Vickers has, but to claim that you're destitute, right? Again, you're either on the side of good or evil, right? You're either on the side of the victims or, the predators, the monsters that did this. That's what I can say there. Let's see. So when we talk about the Palm Beach case, this is where we talk about it. That one more time, this deal that was cut was for multiple people. Multiple people. And so many of these people in that Florida case especially were like, this girl is the one, checked us in, took our information, walked us up. The whole nine. The whole shebango. And remember, 4 of them at least were protected from prosecution in whatever crazy deal that was cut. All right? You got that? So again, Kate, great job. She's worth following on Twitter. I don't know much about her other reporting, but I'll tell you right now, this story was top notch. So let's get into it. Billionaire financier and Epstein pal Leon Black, is now basically saying that Josh Harris has funded this disinformation campaign against him, and it's because they were co-founders. I don't know if any of these people are good people. For instance, the woman who's filed suit against him, what is her name? It's Ganieva. What's her first name? Guzel Ganieva. Okay, she's now 38. She's made rape allegations. I believe, she's caused, some have called him, sadistic, and, a torturer, forced to sign non-disclosure agreements, that there are other victims that have signed non-disclosure agreements. All right. And you go through this thing. And by the way, where is it? This is Leon Black right here. And then let's see. Obviously, Black is the very tall gentleman. There's Epstein. Okay. And that's Pepe Fanjul. Okay. And this is the woman making some of the accusations. Now, they supposedly had a 7-year relationship where Black was paying her $100,000 a month, for those years in some kind of a consensual relationship. But you also find out that he paid Epstein himself, I believe it's $158 million. We'll have to find that in here. And for personal services. All right? I mean, that's pretty big. Pretty big. And of course, Black is accusing her of being, part of this PR campaign. Look, a lot of these people are dirty. And he's saying it's extortion. But let's find that money for personal services, because I think that's a pretty, let me see if I got 158 right. Yeah, it is. It's right in that little banner right there. But that's where do we want, let's see. Yeah. Earlier this year, Black stepped down from Apollo after an outside independent review found he had paid Epstein $100 million for tax and estate planning, though he was not involved in Epstein's criminal activities. Here it is right here. Yes, for professional services. I knew it was a little bit earlier, so they repeated it in that article. So obviously extremely connected to Epstein. They bring up Leslie Wexner in this article as well. They also bring up Stephen Hoffenberg and his time at Towers Financial. Remember, Steve went to jail for what are probably a lot of Epstein's crimes. Now, I'm not sure if this is the one because there's so many articles that I just read, but this isn't the one on the CFR by any means. There's one where Epstein, I think, is testing the waters to see how much he can lie to these people, right? And one of these guys, basically, he tells them that he's a Navy SEAL. So let's see, is this the Navy SEAL one? No. That might be one of the Clinton ones. So let's get into the retrial really quick. And by the way, not even 100 thumbs yet, guys. Let's get the thumbs up. All right. And by the way, who cares if Prince Andrew got stripped of his little crown and his military titles? He ain't going to jail. Who cares if Prince Andrew, by the way, loses in civil court? Is it a step in the right direction? Sure. But again, when criminals don't do time, it shows you there are classes of people that are beyond the law, okay, and can do grotesque and disgusting things, period. So here's my biggest problem with this. We now have two different jurors that have come out and basically said that they were sexually abused, but when they were filling out the questionnaire, question 48 of 50 asked that question, and they said no. And then they gave interviews to the contrary, right? And certainly in a case like this, although I'm not sure how much information, if any, you're given when you go in to possibly be a juror in one of these things, I want you to think about something. If you have been sexually abused and you're filling in a questionnaire, are you going to say yes to that? Are you? I mean, really, are you going to say yes to that? You know, basically, you might not even get picked. Are you going to want that as a paper record or whatever? And they can tell you they destroy those things or whatever. I'm just saying there's a good chance you might lie about that. Now, in this case, obviously, it could be terrible because, they're basically saying, this is it. We're getting a retrial. This is it. They're saying it's cut and dry. The admission, by these jurors poses real issues, and they're going to ask them whether or not they could serve for perjury. You got to love that part of it. So we're going to keep an eye on that as well. Let's move on to the next article here. All right. Exclusive. Jeffrey Epstein's access to the Clinton White House laid bare. Visitor logs reveal pedophile visited the former president at least 17 times, including a dozen in 1994 and twice in one day on 3 separate occasions. So it's like 14 days he was there, and then the other 3 are from like multiple times at the thing. The guy took a picture, by the way, at the podium in the White House. I want to show that really quick if we can get there. Maybe we passed it already. Is it in this one? No, it's in a separate one. Right? I guess it must be. So you look at this article, and they're just going through the logs and who was introducing Epstein. And remember, Epstein's lawyer talks about how he believes, or Epstein claimed he was the guy behind the Clinton initiative. Weird. And, I mean, when we talk about the relationship, again, these are extensive. So here's that one part I did want to highlight. One time he got chatting with me and claimed he had been a Navy SEAL. I just read a book on SEALs, so I knew how to check if he was telling the truth and asked him, what was your class number? A real SEAL could answer that in a second, but Epstein couldn't. He looked at me and smiled, and his face said, you just got me. I smiled back, and we moved on. According to the source, among the people that Epstein would meet on his trips to the White House was George Mitchell, the former senator, who at the time was Senate Majority Leader. Okay? And a bigwig in the Obama administration, all that stuff. So these logs, they actually show extensively that he was there. Big time was there. And 94 in particular. Really hammer it home. They also talk about how Rubin, this guy right here, okay, Robert Rubin, who's pictured with Clinton, that was his point man. Okay, Rubin would go on to serve as the chair of the Council on Foreign Relations, an international affairs think tank between 2007 and 2017. Epstein was a member of the CFR, also a member of the Trilateral Commission, by the way, from 1995 until 2009, and donated $350,000 to the organization, which we know about. Money which it later gave back, which fights human trafficking. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, this was the point man on several other occasions. Ann Stock, she doesn't want to give a comment. She did not want to talk about it. Neither did Ratbone, who was another contact on this. No one wants to talk about the Clintons and Jeffrey Epstein. Nope. Remember, Virginia Giuffre Roberts claims she saw Clinton on the island. Now, post-presidency, again, great article. All of these are worth the read, guys. All of them. Thumbs it up for this stuff. The Daily Mail is doing great work here. They show you a dinner party at Palm Beach for Epstein, and we got some great people here. We got Don Johnson. We got Jimmy Buffett. The stars are out at night. We got Billy Clinton. Hey, Bill. How we doing, brah? Richard Garrett. That's a prominent Miami attorney. Bob Knuth, the business executive. Alfonso Fanjul. I believe we saw one of the Fanjuls who was Pedro. They are related, I believe. Don Fowler and Paul Prosperi, Clinton's Georgetown University school buddy and organizer of the dinner. Oh, thanks, buddy. Clinton's buddy organized the dinner with Epstein. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Just forget about it. I mean, there we go. So, this one's an excellent article. You know what I'm saying? By the way, also in attendance were Michael Douglas, right? And billionaire investor Ron Perlman. Also worth noting, right? And by the way, this is... And the Daily Mail's put a lot of this stuff out before, but this stuff's really thorough. This, I believe, is Davies, right? Yes, Shantae Davies, who claims to have been raped by Epstein, and there she is, giving those nice massages to Billy Clinton. And they point out that, again, Ghislaine Maxwell was at Chelsea Clinton's wedding, and that Vanity Fair had reported that they were extremely close, right? Extremely close. Then, all the allegations are being denied. Well, I just want to point out that you can also find the women that were brought to the White House. Here are those women. Glenn Dubin's future wife was brought there. By the way, we'll see her right. I think where is she? Is she the one on the right? I think she's the one on the right there. And then you have Frances Jardine. She might be the one on the right. Yes. Yes. Eva Anderson Dubin is the one on the left. Okay. And here you can see that's part of the video. I don't know how much that has been covered. But hey, they just get to get up at the podium, right? There's Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein up at the podium in their own little private books. Isn't that nice? Wow. They're great. Just awesome. I'm so glad this is the power structure and who influences it. Right? It's just crazy. So this actually, you know what? I'm going to save this right now in the gallery. Let's save that image. We'll put that up on the Twitter. Let's hit the save button right there. Boom. And we're gonna tweet that out. I mean, that's no big deal. Let's just go through some of these, huh? No biggie. Nope. And Dubin, I think, was at the trial, obviously. So they were just showing there, the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. And that's what she looks like now. Sex out of there. Let's see. Is there anything else we want to go over? Because other than the whitewash, right, and the emails that we now have, right? and the cover-up campaign, you know, and then base of all the evidence you saw. Again, another really extensive piece. It talks about how, you know, they tried to dispute these flight logs. They tried to ignore the fact that Clinton was on that plane post-presidency a ton, and there was a huge 28 times, no less than, between 2002 and 2003. This is Virginia Giuffre Roberts with the man who apparently doesn't sweat. And he's no longer a prince. Oh, no. Give me a break. So they highlight Chelsea Clinton's wedding day, the Billionaire Boys Club, right? This is Virginia Giuffre Roberts talking about him being on the island like I just discussed. All of these are worth your time, folks. So here's the deal. I'm going to tell you again. You want to be on the Burma Show? You want to be there? You leave a video upload of your question or comment or whatever. Don't leave an hour-long video. Watch my video, like 30 seconds of you talking, asking your question. Film it on your phone, whatever. Upload it via Twitter. Upload it via Getter and leave it on the bottom. And I believe we're going to do it on Saturday, sometime midday. We're going to bring you guys on the air to ask Jason Burma's questions. So if you enjoyed this, number one, go watch all my uncensored stuff and the stuff you've been missing as I get suspended all the time on YouTube now over at Rockfin, ROKFIN.com. At least follow me there. Ton of great stuff there that you haven't seen, I promise. If you want to support me, subscribe. $9.99 a month or $99.99 for the year, and you get everybody's premium content. You notice not seeing a lot of premium content because I give most of it away. I should get some throwbacks out there. I got to get back into that groove. The GoFundMe is down below. Another great way to support the program. And if you're not subscribed on YouTube yet and sharing one of the most banned and taken down channels out there, why not? What are you waiting for? Because, guys, it's not about left or right. It's about right and wrong. And we must become the great resistance to this very real Great Reset agenda. I love you guys, and I'll see you on the flip side.